What is good, my friends? We're back. Another episode
Oh, yeah.
of the Best Coast Sports Connection. Andy Bishop alongside Thomas Conroy, Brian Vilvin. Happy Taco Tuesday, gentlemen.
Hello, guys.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm feeling great.
Rocking
look at
the
this
throwback.
guy. Wow.
The Drew Brees powder blue Chargers jersey that he wore from the years of 2001 to 2005 at times.
Just trying to remind us of what we once had.
Yeah.
That's a period of time for me where I think, the Chargers didn't go wrong with either guy. They're such two good ball players. I mean, obviously Brees was my guy, and I was really mad when he left. But after that first year when Rivers became the full-time starter, I didn't hold any grudges at first. I'll admit it, during the preseason, I was rooting for him to do bad, but because I just loved Brees and that's his competitive attitude. But after that, I was like, now this guy's a quality quarterback. I mean, it's a tough decision. I wish they would have gotten maybe a draft pick out of it and whatnot. But other than that, I think it all worked out good for everybody.
Better for the Saints than the Chargers.
Yeah, but does Drew Brees have the same career if he had stayed in San Diego that he has enjoyed thus far? Or if he had gone to Miami? He wanted to go to Miami originally, or at least that's what the indication was. And then because of the shoulder and the physical and stuff, he ended up not signing with the Dolphins, goes to New Orleans to just a picture-perfect scenario for him. And he, knocked it out of the park. Everybody became closet Saints fans. That became like our NFC team because we wanted Drew Brees to do so well. But I don't know if he has that same career. And I would venture a guess to say he wouldn't have the same career if he had stayed here and Phillip Rivers had been the one to leave.
Certainly. I think that's a good point. So he does break the all-time touchdowns record last night.
Yep.
As the Saints pounded the Colts. Did you guys watch much of the game at all?
Well, I needed T.Y. Hilton to put up 33 points for me to advance to the championship, and that did not happen. So after the midway through the second quarter, when I realized that was no longer in play, I turned my attention elsewhere last night. But I'm happy for him.
I watched it because Michael Thomas got me into my fantasy Super Bowl with his performance. I won by I was trailing by 20 points, and I won by 5.
Wow. Congratulations. You had the kind of night I was hoping to have out of TY, and it did not come to fruition. So, what about you, AB?
Yeah, in that regard, I was sweating last night. I was in my lone league that I was in the playoffs. In my semifinal game, I was up 20 points going into Monday night. All my players were done. He had Michael Thomas.
Oh.
And so after the first half, he drops a touchdown, or he gets a touchdown, I should say, and had over 100 yards receiving. So it looked like he was just going to blow me out of the park.
Yeah.
Then by midway through the third quarter, I had a 2-point lead. So Michael Thomas only needed 20 more yards.
So this is not a PPR.
No.
Okay, standard
non-PPR,
scoring. Okay.
exactly.
Yep.
So I was up by 20. So he had 130 receiving yards, and then the touchdown, for 6 points. So I thought for sure it was over, but then obviously because it was such a blowout, they didn't really, they weren't throwing the ball a whole lot. So I ended up winning by 2 points.
Isn't it funny how the way you watch a football game is totally morphed when you're playing fantasy? Because you were probably watching thinking you don't want the Colts to score because you don't want the game to be in question at all. Like if the Colts get a couple of touchdowns, then the Saints are like, oh, let's get another one to feel good. And then, Michael Thomas is going to be out there.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, want him to do more. So you're thinking like, oh, come on, Colts, make this a game. Like I want New Orleans to keep throwing or else they're just going to hand it off. Like it totally skews everything you're doing.
And the Saints are up 34-0 at the start of the fourth quarter, and they still put in Brees in the starting offense. They throw a screen pass to Thomas, and thankfully that one actually went for negative yards, and that was his last catch. But even for one more possession, they still had Brees and some of the other starters in. I was kind of a little surprised by that, but anyways, it ended up in my favor, thankfully.
Congratulations, both of you guys.
Thank you.
I lost. So that's the end of my fantasy season. Only one league this year, which is the first time in a long time I was only in one league. Made a valiant effort, led the league in scoring, and couldn't get it done in the playoffs.
Wherein did the blame lie this week for your team?
Oh my God! Well, my team, I put up a big number. I would have beaten everybody else, but he had Lamar Jackson to start, so I was in a 36-point hole after Thursday night. Like I knew that was going to be tough to climb out from. He also had Nick Chubb, who put up 23. This is a PPR league as well. He had George Kittle, who went hog wild, and he had Tyreek Hill. All those guys had 23 to 26 points, along with Lamar Jackson's 36. I had some pretty good performances. Deshaun Watson put up only 16 for me. I was hoping for him, about 25. That would have been nice. And, just couldn't get it done. I did pick up Brashad Perriman because Mike Evans was my number one receiver, and when he was ruled out for the year, I decided to pick up the guy who was hopefully going to take those catches, and he put up 36 or something big. So I tried, just couldn't get it done. You guys got anything up your sleeves for the championships this week?
I might have to pick up a quarterback off the waiver wire.
Who the hell's your quarterback? How do you pick up a quarterback on the waiver wire in the championship?
So I started the season with Cam Newton, and somebody else is my quarterback, but I forget who it was. But after like a couple weeks, it's like these guys aren't doing anything.
Yeah, Mitch Trubisky or something. Yeah.
I picked up Jared Goff, who will either give you 25 or 5. That's been his season this year.
Yep.
So when he's going up against a good defense, like I have to sit him. So along the way, I've picked up Jacoby Brissett. Will get you on average 15 points.
Yeah.
And then I also picked up Baker Mayfield about 4 weeks ago. The 2 weeks I've started him, he's done well, putting up about 20 points. The other weeks, kind of like Goff, like 5 to 10 points. So all 3 of them have bad matchups this week. I might be picking up Ryan Tannehill off the waiver wire as my starting. He has the highest projected points of all the quarterbacks on the waiver wire and higher projected points than my 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
He also had a rushing touchdown this last week. He's a threat with his legs, too. It could be a good call, good play.
So
I don't totally hate it.
So it is.
It's crazy to me that you got all the way this far with no quarterback.
It's been mostly on the legs of Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, a couple talented receivers as well.
Yep.
I've had just a really consistent group. It's guys that give me. It's a non-PPR, so guys that just get like 100 yards receiving or rushing every game.
Yeah.
And then it's a bonus if they get the touchdown, but if not, it's been nice to have a consistent team like that.
It's also crazy how PPR influences things, because this league now is PPR. I used to do standard scoring, and in standard scoring, running backs are really important. In PPR, if you have receivers or tight ends who catch a lot of passes, then they catch. George Kittle caught 14 passes the other day. That's 14 points right there. Like, that's insane. So, your mindset is just totally different looking at your team. And I understand now. A non-PPR league, quarterback kind of becomes a little more secondary.
Just stay away from the Steeler quarterback.
Oh, geez, not touching that.
Duck? No duck? Duck, goose?
Well, him and Mason Rudolph are combined for 8 interceptions the last 2 weeks, 4 for each.
They're trying to catch up to P. Rivs. Sorry, I love you, Philip.
Love you, Philip.
Favorite player in the league.
You just
by
screamed in Costa Mesa. Oh, my middle of my back. It feels like I just got stabbed.
Oh, I would never. I'm just joking. Just kidding.
So you see the jerseys that we used to love.
Yep.
The Chargers hosted the Minnesota Vikings this week, and I think it was the worst.
No, they didn't.
I was gonna say what? That wasn't a Minnesota.
They hosted Minnesota on the road in Carson. To what may have been the biggest, impact of a visiting fan base this season. I don't know. It depends on who you listen to.
It's like having to compare that and try to figure out which fan base has more fans. Like, is it 92% or 93%? Like, it's sad. It was a lot, though. It was wild.
And what was it? I think I watched just bits and pieces of it, but I think they had 7 turnovers.
Yeah, they did. Like five fumbles.
5 fumbles.
Yeah.
Whew. And a couple interceptions. That's the lowest of lows right now for the the Los Angeles Chargers.
That game was close, and then I went away from it for a little bit to watch the Dallas Rams game. And then when I came back, it was a complete blowout. I was like, how did this happen? I had to go to my phone to find out about all of the turnovers. Crazy.
Yeah, that's rough. But I think the best part about that game, or the best thing to come out of that game, was afterwards when the Minnesota Vikings official Twitter page tweeted out, "The Vikings stay undefeated at home."
That's good. I hadn't seen that.
Still
that's
unbeaten
good.
at home. Oh my God! When a team trolls you that hard from their official account, then you know it's bad. That was pretty good. Just the move might have been worth it just for that tweet alone.
Right.
Oh God, that was awesome. Yeah, no holding back. Those guys.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota, Green Bay, San Francisco, Seattle. I mean, the NFC is. I mean, AFC's always interested in them since the Chargers. That was always their conference, but. Yep. The NFC playoffs is going to be packed. I mean, every team outside of the NFC East winner is going to have at least 11 wins, I want to say.
Yep.
So I think NFC as composed to the AFC, or as compared to, I think that's the playoffs I'm looking forward to a little bit more.
Yeah, 5 out of the 6 teams will have a minimum of 10 wins, but there's a chance that they could have 12 wins, all 5 teams in the NFC playoffs, with the Saints, the 2 teams from the West, Seattle and the Niners, and then the Vikings and the Packers. That is crazy. And then you're gonna have one of those 12, potentially a 13-win team on the road in the first round of the playoffs
against probably an 8-win team.
8 or 9 max. It'll have to be at least 8 because they're playing this week. But Philadelphia or Dallas, those teams that don't want to win their division, but I mean, one of them's going to host. It's crazy.
What a crazy last 3 weeks for the Niners. I mean, they headed into last week's game the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah.
And now they're the 5 seed. And then if the playoffs started, this weekend, they'd be playing in Dallas. I mean, I agree. You made a great point about why Breeze and the Saints offense were still in the game. I think because they don't want to lose that momentum. Because I think they're trying to get to at least the number 2 spot and maybe even the number 1 seed if something happens with Seattle.
They could still be anywhere from the 1 to the 6. That's crazy. And they have an 11-3 record and are one of the top teams in the league by far. And we're the last undefeated. Like they have. It's been pretty crazy in all these games. Every game that they've lost has been an insane finish. And
2 field goals to lose.
Yep,
and
then
a
touchdown
as
where
the ball was
with the ball
3 inches over the 2 inches over the goal line.
Yeah,
I mean, that was so close.
That's going to be whoever the 2 wild cards are in the NFC. They'll be about as tough luck a wild card as you can have. Last year, the Chargers as a wild card was pretty rough, being 12-4. Like I hate them, but. I can respect that sucks. And we talked about it. You never know, man, when you got to go on the road in the playoffs. It's difficult. So a lot of intrigue these last couple of weeks. Like you said, the NFC is it's exciting.
Yeah.
The AFC has to let another team in.
Right? Yeah, somehow.
They got to let somebody in. They're like, the 6 seed's going to be terrible. And
Tennessee or Pittsburgh or...
Yeah, or Houston, depending on if they win the division or not. Like, someone. But looks like it's not going to be the Raiders.
Raiders or the Colts,
said earlier.
yeah.
How about Buffalo in the playoffs, baby?
Love seeing that.
Hands up, Buffalo. I like it. Yeah. I think the NFC's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, way more.
But the AFC, like we said, the semifinals in the AFC, if we could get a matchup with New England, Kansas City, Baltimore, potentially Houston, have those 4 quarterbacks duking it out in the AFC semifinals.
That would be fun
sweet.
to watch.
I would like that.
Yeah. What you guys got? Any initial prediction on the Super Bowl? It doesn't have to be official. I'm just saying, 2 weeks outside of the playoffs.
Thomas's squad, Baltimore.
I mean, it's hard to argue against that
right now, but. I mean, we love to discount the Patriots every year. Like, we just got to forget about them every time. But if Bill Belichick gets another shot at Lamar Jackson, I feel like he could handle him differently, and they could be a tough – I think that would be the toughest matchup for Baltimore just because they just figure out a way, man. New England in the playoffs is such a beast. I don't know how they do it, but they just pull off weird stuff. There will be snow that day, or like something weird's gonna happen.
Well, they said a production assistant from Kraft's.
And they've been filming. They have someone trailing Lamar Jackson at all times. So
hidden camera.
Yeah, they. I don't know. I think if Baltimore can avoid playing New England in the playoffs, then I have a tough time seeing anybody beat them heading into the Super Bowl. And then whoever wins the gauntlet of the NFC, man, I would love like Saints Ravens or Seahawks Ravens. Whoo, baby.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I want to say the Saints, just because they've been so close the last couple of years.
Yep.
And Breeze has just had another amazing season. So they're my pick right now. And then I got to go with Baltimore at the moment. But I could see the Patriots there. I could see the Chiefs there. Outside of that, I don't see, even though I said the Texans earlier in the year, I think those other three teams look a little bit more consistent. So,
does it change if J.J. Watt comes back?
I mean, that helps. I mean, without a doubt. But even with him, they're, they didn't have a dominating defense this year. So, I don't know.
That's a lot of questions. I mean, to me, the scariest team is the Kansas City Chiefs, because I think their defense is actually turning it around after that bye week and playing really good the last 2 weeks. But I'll stay with Baltimore versus New Orleans, and with the Chiefs as like my sneaky team.
I'm going Kansas City against San Francisco. Ooh. The red and yellow versus the red and gold.
I like it.
And let's see what happens. Nice. I want to see Patrick Mahomes in these big games. I just love the guy. I want him to be the Super Bowl MVP and to just be all over every magazine and cover. The guy is electric. We kind of forgot about what an amazing season he had last year because Lamar Jackson is now the toast of the town this year. So either one of those guys, great representative. But I like rooting for the Chiefs. There's just something fun about rooting for Kansas City, and I don't know why.
Playing in the snow weird. This last week.
Yeah, and still
throwing it down to the Broncos.
Yep.
One more final NFL topic. Our Survivor League is
oh my goodness.
Still got a little steam left to it. Here, heading into week 16, we are down to the final two.
You've never seen a league get this far, right?
I haven't.
That's insane.
And ours really shouldn't have, but everybody lost. Everybody lost and everybody won at the same time. Yep. Started the season with 65. Had our hiccup with, I think it was 11 teams while you were still alive, Thomas, that all lost a few weeks ago, and they still advanced, and we were down to 3. One picked the Titans this week against the Texans. My buddy Dave Garrett picked the Bucks, pretty good pick against the Lions this week, and then our lovable Trevor Jensen took the Seahawks in what turned out to be a very tight ball game, but he advances. And, of course, Trevor is the one that did not make the pick the week where everybody lost. So even though he had a forfeiture of sorts, he moved on, and he might come down with a lot of money.
Week, though,
it's called load management. He's a big basketball fan, so he decided to take some principles from basketball and apply them to the NFL. And it looks like it's going to work out for him really nicely. He's down to the final 2. Let's see how this week plays out, and we may have some intrigue going into the final week of the season, which would be hilarious and awesome and insane at the same time.
Since he's in load management, then maybe the final week should be they have to win in 3 quarters, not 4, because you can't play a whole game.
He'd probably be okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah. He also said if he wins, he's coming in.
Oh yeah, we are doing some type of video segment with Mr. Jensen.
With that guy wondering what the heck's going on up top. I always wondered that. So
wad of cash in a ball and throw it at his face.
He may need the police escort, though.
Oh, it's too good.
So, anyways, it's been fun, though.
Yeah.
Even more chaotic than I would have imagined. So,
well, thank you for thinking of it and setting it up.
Yeah,
it's the first time I've ever done it, and I had no clue what to expect. But it's even like going out pretty early, it's still been fun to pay attention and follow along and just imagine the torment people are going through watching football every week, like except for Trevor because he just has no clue. It's been really fun, so I appreciate you setting that up, man.
Yeah, it's going to be even bigger and better next year. We'll switch it over to baseball. It's been a couple weeks since we've last talked, and a few dollars have been thrown to some free agents.
We would be remiss if we didn't start out our baseball by saying this is episode 19.
Yes.
It could be the Lance Allworth episode, but we're here in San Diego, and the number 19 is sacred here.
Yes.
For Anthony Keith Gwynn, the late Tony Gwynn, episode Tony Gwynn.
R.I.P.
His jersey's all up in this place on about 6 different parts of the
I
wall.
think there was one that's covered by one of these
a gift
these Christmas wrappings, but there is a pretty sweet one over here in the corner, little throwback.
Oh yeah,
brown and gold, baby.
The white jersey with the brown sleeves and the gold trim. Yeah, that one is really sweet.
Looks like it's signed too by Tony.
Well, I know Tony definitely spent some time here at McGregor's. He'd come over for Taco Tuesday time to time and throw a few back with the old fellas. So, Tony Gwynn time. Back to baseball.
Back to baseball. Yeah. So it was, of course, the winter meetings last week.
Yeah.
Here in our hometown of San Diego. I was thinking about, trying to see some of the action, but I was a little busy, a little sick, so it didn't happen. Padres remained pretty quiet. But, of course, the two big signings, or I should say a couple of big signings, the two pitchers, Garrett Cole, Steven Strasburg, and then Rendon with the Angels. A couple of the big ones. Those were kind of the big three this last week.
Yeah, that was exciting. I mean, the winter meetings starting off, and then I guess it was the second night with the Cole signing, and then everyone's like, oh, my gosh, what's going on? This is crazy. These numbers are insane. And he got a lot of money. I was hoping, low-key hoping that the Padres would be in on him or in on Strasburg. And the moment he signed and we saw what the number was, I thought we could kiss our chances on Strasburg goodbye as well. I think a lot of people probably thought that. There was only a handful of teams that felt like they were still in. But it definitely made things exciting, and it got a lot of buzz generated around here and around the winter meetings for the first time in a while, because last year was ice-cold winter meetings. So that was an exciting start, especially that it was here in San Diego. And what did you guys think when you first saw that number come through?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, 35, 36 mil, right, for both Strasburg and Cole. So, I mean, after last year's free agent signings with Machado and Trout, just some of these ridiculous numbers, I guess I wasn't super surprised.
Yeah.
But still, 7-year and 9-year contracts for those guys.
But even those ones, like Harper and Machado, didn't sign until March last year.
Yeah.
So,
right at the start of spring training.
Yeah. They even missed a little bit of spring training. Mm-hmm. And so that, I guess, was the surprising part to me, that the three biggest names out there, and they were the three guys in the World Series. There had been the most talk about them, but to get them signed before Christmas, I thought was pretty crazy.
Oh.
It sounds like it was straightforward. There wasn't any back and forth. Back deal negotiations with a third team. I mean, you heard a couple of rumors of mystery teams.
Yeah, Scott Boras throws the mystery team term around there all the time. Yeah. Like, oh, we got a mystery team, and nobody can afford to be the mystery team. You don't got a mystery team.
Yeah.
But I also think that each team who signed Strasburg and Cole and Rendon actually needed that player. I think the Nats needed Strasburg to maintain, I think, being the one of the better teams in the National League East, and the Yankees needed an ace, especially with the demise of decline, I should say, of CC Sabathia. And the Angels, I think Rendon is the perfect bat right behind Trout in that lineup that they needed. Because I went to a couple of Angel games last year, and teams just pitched around Trout because there was nobody with a consistent bat behind him. Why pitch to him? I mean, it's amazing the numbers he put up for basically having nobody behind him. But now I think he has that 1-2. So I think it's I think it just helps the game better that these guys went to the right teams, and it'll make those teams more competitive. But the one thing that shocked me about the winter meetings was there was really no major trades.
Yeah.
It was all free agency.
Free agent signings, yeah.
So it kind of just like, I don't know. I always like that aspect of like the blockbuster trade where it comes out of nowhere, but
Yeah.
Nothing came out of that.
There was a lot of talk of blockbuster trade potential, but nothing really cooking. The latest thing I've seen is out of Dodger camp talking about setting something up with the Red Sox to go after Mookie Betts.
Really?
I would hate that so
Yeah.
much.
That was
But one of the things
dream.
we talked about, we loved how inactive the Dodgers were and how nobody gave them the time of day and that they were just not a part of the winter meetings and the free agent signings and how good it felt to box them out. If we're not going to get them, might as well not let them go to the Dodgers.
I like that. Yeah, man, Betts. It'll be interesting to see what comes of him because he's a ridiculous athlete.
Yep.
So we'll see. A couple other big pitching notes this week. Corey Kluber going to the Rangers
Yeah.
via trade.
Thought that was kind of a light haul to bring him in. He must be a lot more injured than it appears, but I don't know, man. I feel like we could have matched that or surpassed that if we wanted to go after a Kluber.
Yeah.
I think his contract is like outrageous. I think it's over $20 million.
So it's just not wanting to spend. Not the player capital wasn't the issue. It was the what we'd have to pay him.
Yeah, I think it was a player option for 2020 that he had signed with Cleveland. I think it was around $20 million. I want to say. So, but I feel that would have been within our ballpark still for a year.
So too,
but I mean, if it's for a year, then maybe not the best choice. And then of course Madison Bumgarner stays within the division. Goes from the Giants to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
I didn't see that coming.
No, yeah.
No, neither did I.
I don't think anybody really did.
Yeah, it felt like it was coming out of nowhere. And Arizona is one of those sneaky teams that has been pretty good recently, and I just don't think about them. I think about the Dodgers and the Giants, and then the Rockies are just kind of always. But Arizona's been sneaky good, and that's a team that I hadn't been thinking a ton about that I'm now a little bit worried about. And I know that this doesn't make their team or break their team, this signing, but it definitely helps. And I know that Mad Bum does a lot of damage in our division, so yeah, I think it's a pretty good signing for them. I wish it would have been us.
Yeah, I agree.
Isn't it kind of weird that they trade Greinke and they basically take the top prospects from the Astros and then they use some of that money to sign Madison Bumgarner? You know, it's just that's how baseball is nowadays. It seems like you got to cut your losses quick when something's not going right.
Yep.
And it's no more of like, well, let's see what they do next year. Maybe they could turn it around. It's basically you got to cut your losses and then use that money that you're saving to get another key player.
Well, speaking of let them have another year and see how they're doing, or cut your losses, what do we think happens with Will Myers this year?
Well,
it
sounded like they were trying to get rid of him during the winter meetings. Like his name was being
cut your losses.
thrown out a lot.
I think we owe him like $66 million over the next 3 years, something like that. Woo, that's pretty steep.
I mean, I think Preller doesn't want him on the roster, but if he can't get anything in return, then I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't expect him back at all. Like, he doesn't. It doesn't.
You don't expect him back? Who's going to take him?
I think they would just release him outright. If they
and
couldn't
just
find
eat
a taker.
the money? Oh, I don't know if you could do that. You'd have to get something or trade something. I don't know. Eating $66 million, it ain't my money. Again, I can spend a lot of theoretical money that's not mine all the time, but that right there would be pretty rough.
All right. Well, here's something I wrote then.
Okay, laying it down.
Yeah.
Now, the Red Sox need to get under the luxury tax, and I don't buy the rumors that they want to get rid of Mookie Betts, because I just think he's too, like you said, Andy, he's a generational talent. You just don't give those guys up because they don't come around too often. So they have Price, who's owed $90 million.
Can I venture a guess? Are you about to say something about Andrew Benintendi?
No.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
no.
sorry.
It just
pretend I didn't interrupt you right there.
It would be a Myers straight up for Price, But the problem comes then is you have to kind of work who pays the remaining amount of money of Price's contract. And I think from a Padre perspective, if I can get them to do that, because he fits in perfectly for first base for the Red Sox as a short-term solution for them until their minor league. They have a top prospect that's probably about either next year or sometime next year or the year after.
Okay.
And if I'm the Padres, I gladly pay Price. If you subtract the money, I'll take on Price's 30.
Is this 31 million or something?
Probably,
like that? And Myers 22.
I pay that for 2 years for Price, because he's a veteran that you want to kind of go with Paddock and all these young pitchers, and he gets the job done. I mean, he still can win double-digit victories. I mean, I know.
And you put him in the NL West, like he was pitching in the AL East,
Mm-hmm.
and still decent. I mean, not like the standard that they hold, but they got a little different standard than we've had here in San Diego with our pitching staff. So he'd immediately come in and be our number one. And then you're talking about we're spending a lot of money, but you get that Myers money off the books, and you're spending it for something that you have an absolute need for right now.
Right.
Versus Myers is kind of like he's either a platoon first baseman or a platoon outfielder. Like, you don't need to be spending all that money on a platoon guy.
Or a horrible third baseman.
Yeah, that too. He's not going to play there with the left side of the infield we got. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see, man. I mean,
just a thought.
It's a bummer. That guy had
so
so much potential, and he's just hasn't brought it together. Any other rumblings you're hearing with the Padres after a pretty quiet meetings?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, to me, it's the center field position that gets to me with them, because you heard some rumors at the end of the week about them possibly chasing Starling Marte of the Pirates, and so I was like, okay, now where does he fit? Because you got Grisham, and then you got Tommy Pham.
Yep.
So I guess he's the center fielder, which I would gladly take, but is that the next move? I mean, there's so many other weird rumors. Like I read something today about, go after Francisco Lindor and move Tatis Jr. to center field, and I was like,
yeah, I had to mute the name Lindor because everybody on Twitter just kept talking about Lindor. When if it happens, and you shift things around, but it's not happening. So it's just bothering me like every single time, and people like putting out false things like that Lindor had been signed and faking a Ken Rosenthal account and all that kind of stuff. So I had to drop the Lindor stuff from my timeline because I couldn't survive.
Padres Twitter.
Those guys are the worst, those fake ones.
I know. And you look and you're like, what? Oh my God. Clevenger and Lindor for a bag of baseballs and Alan Cordova?
Francisco Mejia? Oh my God.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think right now it probably looks like Grisham will be the center fielder. And Pham will play on a corner, and Will Myers,
Franchi Cordero. He's doing pretty good in the Dominican League right now.
Yeah, he is. If he can stay healthy, he could be a talent.
He's a guy that I like if he can stay healthy. That could be a pretty consistent corner outfielder.
Yeah. And then where does Margot fit in? Like, he's had a couple week stretches at a time where he's been a total stud, and then he's had a couple month stretches where he's a complete nothing. I don't know, man. We got a lot of outfielders and a lot of question marks still. It wasn't like you add guys and now you know where everybody slots in. It's still a lot up in the air in the outfield.
Along with a rookie manager. It's going to be interesting.
Tingler.
I listened to
for his number 32
I listened to a couple of his interviews in and around the winter meetings, and he keeps growing on me. Just seems like a really smart guy that's had a lot of good experience.
Yeah,
he's going to work with the players, work with the coaches, and really work at the interpersonal aspect of things to kind of create a good chemistry within the team. So we'll see if that means anything. See if that changes the wins and loss numbers this year.
We were at 45 and 45, so after 90 games, we'll be able to gauge where we are compared to last year. We'll see.
Good stuff. Where are we going next, guys? Aztecs?
We could go Aztecs. That's a buzzer beater by Malachi Flynn to stay undefeated. Oh, my gosh.
Against
that
the
game
mighty
was...
San Jose State Spartans.
Okay, but San Jose State was making some ridiculous shots to even be in that position. Like, throwing up three-pointers while they're falling away. Like, unbelievable. Like, all the shots that were going in, and San Diego State missing all the little chippies around the bucket. It was like the perfect recipe where I was like, okay, well, they're going to lose because this is how you can lose a game to a team you're so much better than, because basketball happens from time to time. I still don't know what happened with the Lakers tonight. We'll have to look that up. But they were losing to the Pacers when we went on air. But talk about losing to a team you should never lose to. But they got it done. Flynn hit that massive three basically as time expired. But it feels like now at 10-0, one of those teams that I don't want to say a team of destiny because that just sounds so corny, but like a team where they're getting all the right breaks and making the shot when they need to. You could just as easily miss that shot and we wouldn't be talking about it. 9-1 and but 10-0, moving up the rankings. They play against Christian tomorrow, throttle them, and then a big game this weekend against Utah up at Staples Center. And if they win that one, then you're talking about being on the national scene. Utah's 8-2 and a good team in the Pac-12, which is loaded, by the way. Holy cow. Their basketball teams are all really good.
Yeah, that's going to be a good little
litmus test.
But like that whole day at Staples because
totally.
LSU's playing USC.
Yep.
And so it'll be interesting to see how those two teams are. I agree. I was at that game, and it was such a typical Aztec game, guys, because it was, they came out, the Aztecs, and just shot the ball out of the building. I mean, they were up 11 pretty easy. And Malachi Flynn didn't really do anything. It was more Justin Shackle who got them that big lead. He was really shooting the ball amazing. And then right in the middle of the second half, that's when it just got, they got cold as ice.
Cold, yep.
Yeah, and nothing. Bad. And then you slowly saw the lead chip away. Brian Dutcher tried to use his timeouts to kind of slow down the momentum from San Jose State, and then just like Brian mentioned, and I was sitting right where Flynn was standing, but in let's say right behind the student body section.
Yeah.
So I was straight on to where he was doing, and when he gave the ball off, I was like, "Oh, I want you to take the last shot."
Yeah.
But he was positioning himself, and his footwork was so beautiful. When he got that return pass, I knew it once it left his hands. I'm like, that is in. It was such a great feeling, and that place erupted, and it was really a pretty good crowd for a Sunday afternoon because I couldn't find anybody to go to the game with. I went by myself because everybody wanted to watch the NFL, but I was like, it was one of those times where it was like a day basketball game. I'm like, I'm going, and I'm glad I did. It was such a great game.
Yeah, it turned out to be a heck of a ball game.
So what? One of the 4 remaining undefeated teams across the nation broke
4 as of press time tonight. So
what a shocker! North Carolina has lost 3 straight games. Isn't that amazing? I mean, I'm amazed that North Carolina has lost 3 straight games.
You know who hasn't lost 3 straight games? The Aztecs of San Diego State University. That's who.
I get into college.
Ranked in the top 25.
Yep.
What is it? Number 20?
20 in both polls. Number 3 in the net ranking, which is like it replaces the RPI. So based on strength of schedule, strength of victory, all that stuff. So I mean the computers like San Diego State right now. The voters are starting to like them more and more. If we win both games this week, that'll go a long way, and we'll see, man. It's could be something special. That's something special now.
Something special. Something special cooking. Aztecs football bowl game.
Oh yeah.
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Against the Chippewas. That's a good mascot.
Is that their mascot?
Central
Michigan?
Yeah, the Chippewas.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a little trivia for you. I'm really good at Mascot Trivia. If there was sometimes I watch Jeopardy, and there's a lot of categories. Microbiology, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get anything there. The elements, or the periodic table, no chance.
16th century English literature.
Exactly. No, just count me out of there. But the moment you put college mascots or anything sports related, I'm just fired up, and I guarantee I'm going to get all of them. So that's college mascots is one of my jams for sure.
Yeah. Chippewas, good stuff.
Any thoughts there? I don't know.
On the game itself?
Yeah.
It's kind of a typical, I feel, Aztecs bowl game. It's
Yeah.
not a super notable opponent, not a
Yeah.
super notable bowl.
The Mountain West gets pretty tossed around as it pertains to the bowl games. But the team was 9-3, really good season. They're always super competitive under Rocky Long. There's a lot to be proud of with them, and the defense was one of the best that the program's ever seen, and it's a program that's based on amazing defense. So they got a lot to be proud of, and see what happens this weekend, playing in an early bowl game. But I don't know. I'd love to see them get out there and win and have a lot of success in the bowl game, because then it just sets the tone for next year.
Mm-hmm.
You hate to go into a bowl game, lose like 45-7. So I hope they get it done. I think that they're the better team, and like to end the season on a high note, even though.
And they got their quarterback for next year. Sears from USC transferred in as a graduate.
Really?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Over the weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So they got their quarterback, and he fits right into what they want to do. So, I agree with Brian. I think they should win the game. To me, it just seems like the perfect. They're playing in New Mexico. It'll be really cold, so they can run the football, and then their defense could just pound on Central Michigan. And it'll probably be like a 14-13.
Barn burner.
Yeah.
Offensive explosion. Or it'll be like 57-52. Where the hell did that come from?
Oh, man. One thing we haven't touched on, which we all hated to see a couple weeks ago, is when Rashad Penny, former Aztec, went down with an ACL injury.
Yep.
Done for the season, and put to rest our conspiracy theory of a third straight Aztec winning a MVP in a major sports league championship after Strasburg and Kawhi.
He had been playing so well
that
it seemed like our far-fetched idea of he could be like, here's what needs to happen. Thomas, nicely done. Over on bcsportsconnect.com, you can see Thomas's piece. But it started to seem like that could become a thing. Like Seattle could be the number one seed in the NFC. He's getting a touchdown every game. He's like splitting carries with Carson. If all of a sudden he goes off for 200 yards and a couple scores in the Super Bowl, then
boom.
Shit, there you go. 3 for 3. But alas, it was not meant to be. And I just feel bad for him. He's been dealing with some injuries the last couple years, and kind of a slow start to the career that, I'm sure he was hoping would have gone a lot better up to this point. But you see the flashes there. I think he'll be back and strong. And Seattle clearly likes him, and that's the perfect environment for him. They run the ball exactly the way you want, with fullbacks and, taking pride in their blocking and downhill, all that. And that's the kind of runner he is. So hope he comes back strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Golf, Andy, you watch any of the President's Cup?
I watched the highlights.
Yeah, me too. I didn't watch any of it live.
Big comeback from the U.S. of A.
You got your Farmers Insurance Open.
I've been out at Torrey Pines a little bit.
Nice.
Last couple weeks, we got the grandstands up.
Going up, nice.
Going up, getting there.
Have you ever played when the grandstands were up?
I have not. I really want to do it this year, a week or two before the actual tournament, is to play the course and get absolutely murdered.
Yeah.
Just to see what the conditions are like, because they obviously grow out the rough pretty ridiculously. And
it's a hard enough course to begin with.
Greens are faster and whatnot. So I want to do it this year just to, completely lose my ego that I have and
to play with stands.
Yeah,
like that,
it
feels like you're playing in a stadium. That would be
I was
really
walking
cool.
there
I've
today,
never done it,
and they're about halfway up. I would say halfway done with the work. So you're kind of starting to get that feel. It was a perfect day out there today. I was like, why am I at work? Why am I not on the course?
I need to throw the sticks in the car. Yeah.
Golf is, it's been kind of a quiet fall, and so it's fun seeing some of the action at the President's Cup. I'm always a little bit more excited for the Ryder Cup as opposed to the President's Cup. But it was interesting. The international team was kind of killing them the first couple days, and pretty awesome comeback. And, of course, love to see Tiger, doing well and being both the player and the captain and leading the team. So that was pretty cool.
The President's Cup's always the one where it's like, now which one is this? Like, who are we playing against in that?
International team, guys from Europe and Australia and all over the place. So
yeah, so the Ryder Cup is totally the Super Bowl of that, but it's still fun to, the guys. I think the team aspect of golf is exciting, and it kind of breaks things up because I don't necessarily care what's going on in the Valero Open or something like that when it's not a sexy final pairing or that kind of thing. But the team sports side is fun. So, yep.
Only if Corey Glover is playing, that's when I get involved with the Valero Open.
Lucas Glover.
Yeah, Lucas Glover. Sorry.
And Leishman.
Who was your other one?
Mark Leishman.
Mark
Leishman and Lucas
I
Glover.
think he was on the international team. I forget.
Oh
but
my gosh, Thomas,
No.
you're my favorite.
Do you guys go to the Farmers Open?
I used to go on that Thursday each year.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, work has kept me from doing that, but my dad and I used to go out every year on the Thursday and walk around, and it's like the most epic setting ever.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And then I like to watch it on TV because I like to see how cool San Diego looks on TV and hear him just gushing over, Jim Nance gushing over how awesome our city is.
Normally a perfect weekend, right in between the NFC Championship or the championships and the Super Bowl weekend. So that's
the first non-football weekend of the year. Yeah,
the big event of the weekend. So I think I'll probably check it out. Hopefully this year, a day or two.
Is Tiger definitely going to be in it?
So Tiger hasn't announced. They actually announced a few of the couple big names last week or two ago. So Phil's going to be in it, which he wasn't in it last year, which was the first time in like 25 years. He had played in it pretty much every other year of his career, but he took a year off from it. So he's back in it. Xander Schauffele will be there, and a couple other big names. But Tiger hasn't officially announced. Normally he does it after all the other guys do it, 3 weeks before, and then of course you see the spike in ticket sales and whatnot. So I think they normally bank on that, especially now that he's been healthy the last couple of years. Like he'll, 99% he'll be there.
He owns that course. Like Tiger's playing.
I think he hasn't played that well at it the last couple of years that he's been healthy. So I think, that's probably one of the things on his list that he wants to get back to dominating
on his
course
bucket list
and get another win at Torrey. So I wouldn't be surprised if it happens by any means. So yeah, man, all sorts of sports action.
Yeah,
keeping us busy this winter. Nearing the holidays, gents. Got any big plans? Just seeing family, watching bowl games.
Yeah, watching football. I love Christmas basketball, and the Lakers are playing against the Clippers on Christmas Day. Last year and recently, the Warriors have been a big Christmas game. Now, clearly, they've fallen off of the edge of the flat earth, and now the big draw will be the Lakers. But Christmas, getting the family together, watching basketball, that's like our thing, and I really like that. So that's what I'm most looking forward to about the holidays. Got the in-laws coming into town. The last few years, we've been going up to the Bay Area, and now they're coming down here. So Christmas in San Diego this year. That'll be fun.
Good stuff. Thomas?
You guys?
No, I'm just staying in town. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not that big into the bowl season for some reason. I don't like the matchups per se. I think I don't know. I read some of the matchups. I was like, I don't need to see Alabama destroy Michigan, and then we'll go and talk about Jim Harbaugh again. I mean, the only thing is I want to see the playoffs. I think they're going to be really good.
Yep.
Two good matchups, but the rest of them, I don't see a matchup that kind of catches my eye that I got to watch. So I don't know. And in the NBA, there's got to be some type of investigation going on, because when the Warriors have a worse record than the New York Knicks, I want a full investigation.
Right.
That
something is amiss.
Yeah, I mean, that shouldn't happen, but we'll see how that goes. And, but watching the Lakers has been really fun, and it seems like those two teams are going to be on a collision course, and I just don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's what you were talking about earlier, load management versus not, because LeBron and Davis have pretty much said that they don't believe in load management, and Kawhi and George definitely do.
Yeah.
They take every other game off, it seems like, to get ready. So it'll be interesting to see which philosophy wins this year.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to those matchups along the season and likely into the late stages of the playoffs. I'm kicking it here in San Diego. I normally go up north to see my parents up near Sacramento, but kind of a little busy with work, so sticking down here and then getting back up there later in January. So love the holidays. Got some family around here too. So
then we're gonna have to do another podcast before the year's up.
Absolutely,
Sounds like we're gonna make it happen.
Episode 20. We'll make it happen.
We got
with 2 weeks to spare.
I forgot to say, speaking of like right here in Mission Valley, we got a pretty good matchup for the Holiday Bowl with USC and Iowa. I like that matchup. I like USC football. And anytime they come to town, it's exciting. And then Iowa is going to travel really well coming to San Diego. So this place right here, McGregor's, is going to be cracking.
Do we know the date on that? No, it's probably next week.
I think it's 20.
Or is it after Christmas? It's after Christmas.
28th,
right.
either 27th or 28th.
All right.
Yeah. So that'll be a big one.
That'll be fun. Yeah. I'll be pumping up here in McGregor's.
Yep. We need to come down and get in the mix on that party.
corner ourselves.
Yeah. Interview some fans, some drunk Hawkeyes.
Maybe see Marcus Allen or
buy him a beer.
Matt Leinart.
No. Reggie Bush just making the rounds
those
here
guys
around
are for
San
sure
Diego.
gonna be hanging out around here. Yeah.
Not in McGregor's.
No, absolutely at McGregor's.
Oh, Liner would be in here
Yeah.
for sure.
Leinart.
Oh yeah, big time.
If I had a hot tub in here, he'd definitely be in there.
Oh, that's good.
All right, guys. Well, it's been fun. I mean, episode 19.
Yeah.
Year's winding down. It's been fun.
Uno mas.
Keep it rolling into the new year, and
Survivor League still kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it ends this week, we gotta work on getting the winner in.
we will
should
make it
have
happen.
We should have the two guys film themselves watching games this weekend. Put it on.
Send a crew out there.
Yeah.
Well, they can do it on their phone.
NFL
Just a
film.
little.
PC Sports Connection
Watching
Films.
I like one of the cool things about this weekend is Saturday NFL.
Yes,
That's always cool.
I always love NFL games on Saturday.
So make
3
sure,
games.
because you guys are championship contenders here in fantasy, make sure you keep an eye on that. Make sure you know who's playing Saturday.
So
Don't screw it up.
I might be striking a deal with the guy I'm playing in the fantasy football
Ooh,
final.
let's make a deal.
So
what's this deal? Let's
I'm
hear all
just
about
kind of all natural, and I just want to go at it in the playoffs and in the championship. But
You don't want to hedge?
he works with me, and so we're playing each other next week in the finals. And he's like, "You want to make a deal? Like guaranteed? Like I think the pot's only going to be like 400." So he's like, we guarantee, the winner takes 250 and the loser takes 150, that kind of thing. Is that ethical?
It's a gambling tactic. It's hedging your bet. I always like that. If it's like really big money, the smart play is to hedge.
Yeah.
So let's say you're saying it's 400. Let's say it was 4,000. And he says, we'll split it 2,500 and 1,500. So you're guaranteeing that you're going to make at least $1,500. At that point, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't make 4,000 anymore, but you could make 2,500, and your consolation prize is 15. So, like,
I mean, that makes sense there.
Yeah.
Like with this,
you'd be like,
so across all my fantasy leagues and the Survivor, I think I invested $250. So it's basically like I'm either going to make my money back or not quite make my money back.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
might as well go for it.
Yeah, right?
In this case, I say go for it. But I'm normally a hedger. But I like this.
You sound like an Adidas basketball record. This sounds so illegal.
Recruiting coordinator.
This sounds so illegal. Oh my God. Andy, just let it play out.
Just let it play out, yeah.
Don't listen to these crooks.
Especially since I'm going to have to pick up a quarterback off the waiver wire.
Yeah, that's still insane
Actually,
to me.
that
But
might work. Yeah, do it. That sounds better.
no,
And
but I like your Tannehill call this week.
Yeah.
I say go for it. Who are they're playing?
They're playing the
Colts?
Saints,
The
I
Saints.
think,
Saints,
actually, but
oh.
it's in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll
By
see.
Manning?
Is Eli even going to play? I think was last week his last week.
I don't know.
It's a big win for Eli.
I think
back
Kirk
to
Cousins
500.
is on the waiver wire too, but
As long as it's not a primetime game,
Right.
when do they play?
Who are they playing?
I think they're playing the Packers.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
on
no.
Monday night, I think.
Okay.
Or either Sunday night or Monday
Okay.
night. Like, well, no, sorry. Yeah, later, bro.
Oh man,
That's awesome.
good stuff.
We're horrible.
All right, guys.
Trubisky, is he still there?
Yeah, I'm not
Sorry.
touching Trubisky.
Yeah, no, later.
Enough suggestions.
I would have gotten Rivers, but he's on somebody's roster. He's playing the Raiders. He'll throw down against the Raiders. Speaking of Rivers, think he's gone?
I hope so. Yeah. I hope so because then our last connection to the team is gone, and I feel totally fine with wherever he goes. I want him to go somewhere. I don't want him to retire this way, but yeah, I sure hope so.
What would you think of him going to the Raiders?
That would be great. I mean,
Okay.
they have Derek Carr, so
I don't think Derek
it
Carr's.
would. You think they're gonna? Well, Oakland hated him, but now he's going to Vegas, so they got
John
a fresh
Gruden
start.
hates
But
him too.
that would be awesome if Phillip Rivers was the Raiders quarterback.
Yeah.
I'd be all about it.
To a fiery coach and a fiery quarterback.
It'd be sweet. And he'd be in Vegas. I'd go to every game. Yeah, that would be so awesome. I'd love it. I'm for it. You heard it here first. Thomas says Phillip Rivers to the Raiders.
Breaking
Exactly.
news.
I'm in. Thomas, Ken Rosenthal, Wojbomb, Conroy over here. Jeff Passan with the news first.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys.
All
It's
right.
been fun.
Game time.
Yep.
Episode 19 in the books.
See you
One
at
more
20.
left in us, I think, here
Yep.
in 2019. Episode
Oh,
20
yeah.
coming up here in a couple weeks. Catch you later.
See ya.
Thank you.